It is Tuesday, February 3rd, 2026. This is another offseason edition of Baseball Today. That is my man, Trevor Plouffe. I am Chris Rose, producer Dan, along for the ride as well. Way to push through. Way to push through. This happens to you on every vacation. You come back sick.
Yeah, I compromise my immune system, and that's just the price you got to pay to have a great time down there in Cabo. I'm fine, Chris. I got a little bit of a head cold, but I'm playing through it, Coach. Like, I'm not the guy that's going to sit out a game. We got to get the people their baseball news, Chris.
I know. We weren't originally going to do a show, but then those pesky little Mariners back at it, the entire offseason. We thought maybe Brendan Donovan was going to end up in Boston. And then we thought maybe Brendan Donovan would end up in San Francisco. And now he is officially a Seattle Mariner, the headliner of a 3-team trade between the Cardinals and the Rays as well. The Mariners, they give up the most. They send third baseman Ben Williamson over to Tampa and a pair of former first-round picks, their pitcher Durangelo Shinji and outfielder Ty Pete to St. Louis. Rays also ship outfield prospect Colton Ledbetter to the Cards. Cardinals also pick up a pair of draft picks as well. We'll talk about what that means for St. Louis moving forward. But let's talk about Brendan Donovan finally being on the move. Does it feel like the perfect fit in Seattle?
Yeah, I mean, again, you mentioned he fits a lot of different teams just because of his offensive profile, contact-oriented, defensive versatility. All that stuff works on a lot of different teams. Seattle, you're losing Polanco and you're losing Gino as well. So, they needed somebody to come into the infield to help, and it just so happens, this guy can kind of play anywhere. Now they have Cole Young, who I don't know if I saw his debut or what, but they believe in this guy, and I think he has the chops to be a solid major league player. J.P. Crawford is in his last year, I believe, in 2026. They got Cole Emerson on the way. So, there's all these pieces, Donovan could slot in at third base. And then if Emerson comes up, takes JP's job next year, he can stay at third base. If Cole Young doesn't cut it, he can go to second base. If everything works out, he can go to the outfield. So it really does improve them defensively. But I think the underrated part of, when we're talking about Brendan Donovan is his bat. He's just a solid major league bat, a guy that's been roughly 20% better than league average over his career. Like I said, we got so caught up in slug, we lost contact-oriented players. Now those guys are back in fashion. So I think he definitely fits here. He fits what they're trying to do. He kind of fits the timeline of their 40-man roster right now. So, I think this is a perfect landing spot for him. It seemed like this was one of the teams he was probably going to go to because we kind of knew he was going to get traded. And sure enough, here he is in a Mariners uniform.
Yeah, I wonder how many of those other teams that were in the mix, whether it's Boston or San Francisco or somebody else, is going to kind of rue this day and say, man, we really missed out. We missed out on an opportunity to add a really solid guy. He's not the first dude you think of when great baseball players, but I think he is one. I think he is one because of everything that you have mentioned, and I think he's going to fit in perfectly in this lineup. I think you put him right at the top, a career 361 on-base percentage, a strikeout rate of under 15%. He's top 15 in the league of guys that were qualified ABs. And they've I'm not going to say they've totally flipped since 2 years ago when they were a strikeout machine, but they've gotten better. I mean, they feel like at least half this lineup, if not 2/3 of it, is going to be below the average strikeout rate. Bringing Josh Naylor back was a huge part of what they do. Julio has certainly improved in that category as he's gotten more mature as a hitter. So they just feel better, and it kind of gets us to the second part of the question, which is, let's remember, this team was one win away from making its first ever World Series. Is the 2026 version better than what we saw in 2025?
Full year of Josh Naylor, Donovan there. I mean, I would say they're on par with it. I don't know if you can necessarily say they're better. I mean, if you remember what Jorge Polanco did to start the year, then what he did in the offseason, that's a pretty big piece of what got you to the playoffs, then through the playoffs. So maybe some pitching health will be the difference in why they're a better team this year? I'll say they're on par, Chris. I don't know if you can definitively say they're better this year. I mean, and I think if you're saying they're on par, that's pretty good for because they had a great year last year. So I'm not trying to knock them. That's just off the top of my head here. I think they're right around where they were last year.
Yeah, I think it'll depend on what they end up doing during the season and with Jerry Dipoto, what sort of magic he's able to wave around there at the trade deadline with whatever they need, because they end up making a couple of huge pickups from the Arizona Diamondbacks in separate deals. They did add Jose Ferrer, who's a guy who you expect to be better than his numbers have been. Another lefty out of the bullpen, which is something they did not have come postseason time. They had one guy that they could trust from that side, and he just got worn down in the playoffs. There are, Mariners fans will say, well, Bryce Miller had a lousy regular season, which he did. But when he got to the postseason, he was really good. They'll say George Kirby was not up to par. You know what? You could look at if you want to play that game, you could say, is your catcher going to hit 60 homers again? Because that
Well,
probably.
I said that and I got in trouble by Mariners fans. I believe in Cal, and you know what? This Brendan Donovan hitting in front of Cal Raleigh, if that's what they choose to do, look out! Like,
Yeah.
take the over on his season. I will say that Rob Refsnyder could be a difference maker.
Yeah.
If you have him and you can put him up there against some lefties and he bangs, like maybe I'll say this team is a tick better. But again, I think a lot of it's just dependent on the pitching health and having full seasons of like a Josh Naylor and so I maybe I'll go back my words there. Maybe I would say they're a smidge better. But again, like they were a really good baseball team last year.
Yeah, I mean, I'm heavily leaning on them to win the American League West. I mean, we'll make our predictions the day before the season or whatever that comes down to, but I would be shocked if I don't go with this team, and probably to be a heavy favorite at that. So, yeah, I think they're in a great line. Ken Rosenthal's got a really cool piece on The Athletic talking about how the Mariners actually pulled off this deal. They were celebrating Cal at, I believe, the state capitol, and Dipoto he was on a text with the guys from St. Louis and Tampa Bay, and they were like, we got a deal. So he had to kind of step out and finish all of this and start to go over the whole medicals and all of that. So that's kind of a neat little side piece to what happened there. Also, Brian Wu, don't forget about him. They really didn't have him in the playoffs. He pitched a couple of times for a couple innings, but they did not have the Brian Wu that became an all-star pitcher last year during the regular season, just in case they make it to October again. Just a thought. Cardinals, meanwhile, they've totally reset their roster. I mean, I can't remember a franchise. It's been a while since a franchise pulled off this sort of multiple deals with the established veterans. Donovan's the latest to go, Arenado to Arizona, Gray and Contreras in separate deals to Boston. Do you love this or hate this for the St. Louis fan base?
I don't like it for the St. Louis fan base. Like, is it necessary and do they need a little bit of a reset? I would say yes, but that doesn't make it like fun for your fan base. Like, if you're going to go into a season really thinking we don't have much of a chance, what kind of good is that? But like I said, I do think the reset was needed, and it hasn't started this offseason. I mean, the reason they brought Chaim Bloom in was to go and fill in a bunch of these developmental roles and kind of get that PD department like back where they needed it to be. Mm-hmm. So he's been doing that, last year behind the scenes. We don't really hear a lot about that, but it's very, very important work. You need to have a pipeline of players coming up. You need to get back. And I kind of liken the Cardinals to my days with the Twins, where they had a method that worked for them for so long until like it didn't. The league changed, and then I think the Cardinals were a little bit, they were not quick enough, and the Twins, I feel the same way. Like they didn't adapt well to that change. So Chaim Bloom comes in, figures all that stuff out, and then as I'm kind of like reading about this, I actually asked some guys that kind of cover the Cardinals that I know, and they're talking about, well, because of COVID and that lack of gate that they didn't have fans in the stands, that really affected the way they operated their business. And the first thing they did was cut down a lot of those jobs and player development. So they needed to get that done. They needed to clear the books at the big league level because that roster also wasn't working. So you did have some cool established named players there, but probably not enough to really compete in what we're seeing at the major league level right now. So, I mean, Heim's just basically come and said, all right, yeah, we need to get back to developing the pipeline. And then eventually we'll get back and start adding talent to the major league roster. So I do think it was necessary. I also think it sucks if you're a Cardinals fan for at least a couple of years, right?
Feels like it. Feels like it. I mean, basically anybody who's going to get important at bats this year is under the age of 30, and virtually anybody who's going to throw a pitch for them, it'll be the same way as well. I mean, the good news is JJ Weatherhold has a path to the major league team, whether that's at second or third. Basically, go pick the position you want to go play, JJ, and go excel at that one, and we'll see. And you can be kind of the cornerstone of this franchise when it eventually turns the corner again. But for St. Louis, this is tough. Okay, take it from a Clevelander who is used to dealing with teams that are in constant rebuild. It feels like, at least in one of the three major sports, if not in multiple, because you're not used to this. I just want to read off some of this stuff. The last 45 years, the Cardinals fan base has had to endure only 2 90-loss seasons. That's it. Only 2. I mean, usually, like, you're going to fall into something, right? I mean, that's up there with the best in the league. Everybody else, for the most part, has kind of fallen by the wayside at times. It gets better. Only one time since 1916 have they lost more than 93 games. When you get like 95 plus, then it gets into a horrific season. I mean, like really, really bad. Terrible watch. Like I have to cover my eyes at times. Talking about once in more than basically 110 years. They have only one player making more than $5.7 million that will be on their roster this year. That's Dustin May, who signed a $12 million deal. They are paying $20 million to have Sonny Gray pitch in Boston. They're paying $31 million to have Nolan Arenado play third base in Arizona. And they paid an extra $4 million, I believe, to have Wilson Contreras play up in Boston as well. That is tough to stomach. And it's something that this fan base is not used to, but I think that they understand. I'm not going to speak for you Cardinals fans, so you can in the comments, but they have to understand why the Band-Aid rip has been so scarring.
They also are one of the teams that lost their TV deal. So now I believe they're partnering with Major League Baseball along with like 5 other teams. The Twins, again, very similar, went through that. And, you know, when that revenue goes down, usually that trickles down to some part of your organization, probably your big league roster and the ability to acquire talent. So, yeah, it's that's going to be really telling, I think, once that all gets figured out. And I don't think that's going to be for a couple years where they can finally figure out how to package all of these teams' media rights and sell it for something that gets a substantial payday. Because for a long time, those TV rights were pretty big for teams. And I'm actually shocked the Cardinals didn't have a better TV deal than they did. They seem like a national brand to me. Maybe they're not. Am I wrong about that?
They're big. They're certainly big in the Midwest. There's no question about that. That you can go into a several state area around Missouri and you're going to find a ton of Cardinals fans.
Yeah,
but they never had a super station for my generation, for example, like the Cubs did or like the Braves did down south. Yeah. So they never had that. That never resonated.
I thought they did, to be honest with you, but that impacts your ability to spend, like I said. So we'll see. Hopefully that gets figured out for all the teams, because that is that's a separator. That's the separator that everyone talks about with the Dodgers. Look at their TV deal; they're getting upwards of $400 million if I'm not if I'm correct, and like the Cardinals will probably get 40 this year. So it's like, that's tough.
Yeah. And there's obviously a percentage difference between what the Dodgers have to pay based on the whole McCourt thing. I know that we put that out.
That's the whole another side deal.
And that's on us. But yes, that is a totally different discussion. I will say one thing about the TV thing that's going on with it. I believe it's upwards of 9 teams this season. Make it easy for the fans to find your games. And what I mean by that is put out like an instruction. Here's how you can do it. You can pay this amount and you will get this. You can pay this amount and you will get this. If you don't want to do that, you can find the local games here on these times. Is there a possibility of blackouts? Yes, there are. No, there are. Like, make it very simple for everybody. Let's not have people chasing. How do I figure this out? Particularly people who are of a certain age and might not be technologically sound. Help them out. Don't make it hard. Go ahead.
Can I recommend how to do that?
Please.
Okay. Get yourself an Amazon Fire Stick. They cost like $20.
It's true.
Okay. And even if you have an old TV, where a lot of times where you put apps on your TV and the interface just sucks, the old TV is fine because the Amazon Fire Stick handles like the Wi-Fi and its own interface. So go get that.
True.
And it makes it very, very easy for you to put the MLB app on it. You have your own separate remote for it, and you just use that. And as long as we get rid of the blackouts, the MLB app is phenomenal. It's phenomenal. And you're able to watch, you're at this point, shoot, a ton of different teams if you pay for that package. The Twins also had every, like, I think Tuesday was on regular cable TV where everyone could access it. I thought that was really cool. But if you're older and maybe you have an older TV, the Fire Stick is a game changer. So go do that.
There we go. See, you're being helpful.
Yeah.
That's what we are here at Baseball Today. I do want to talk to you real quickly before we move on from the Cardinals about Jurrangelo Shinje, who obviously got on the baseball map because he throws 92 plus from both sides, which is unreal. He's Pat Venditti with gas. Now, you had heard from at Mariners Fan Fest that they were basically going to turn him into just a right-handed pitcher, that he was so much better and his velocity was so much better from that side. They just wanted him to. We don't know what what their thought process is with him yet. I don't believe. I didn't see anything last night. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comment section if they came out and said something. But how intrigued are you still with him?
I mean, the intrigue comes from throwing from both sides. So if that's gone, then it's like he's just kind of on the regular old heat pile, and you got to really prove yourself at that point.
Did you just call him a heat pile?
No, like he's going to be part of the heat pile, just like, a right-handed pitcher. If those 92, you got to separate yourself at that point. He had something that separated himself.
He throws 97 from the right side, which is why they wanted to get rid of him.
I didn't know that. That's great. That's something that separates. Right there.
Yeah, I think he is now the number 4 prospect on the Cardinals side of things. And last thing for the Cardinals to be excited about is the draft capital. You picked up a couple more picks. It sounds like they're going to have 6 of the top 86 picks in the draft this year, which is great. Good.
Hit on them.
Go nail it and give your team something to be excited about. I mean, we have seen in recent years how quickly draft picks can turn into major leaguers. So it's not like the old days where you got to wait 5 or 6 years. Now, if you take a kid out of high school, you're waiting at least 3, most likely. But if you're taking a college kid, particularly a pitcher, you could see him soon. Just a thought. That's all. Cardinals fans, let us know where we are emotionally. Mariners fans, hop on this. Tampa Bay Ray fans, both of you, speak up as well. I mean, you did get a guy who, got a little bit of time as a starter last year with Seattle. He's known more for his glove than his bat, but we'll see if that can get any better. This episode of Baseball Today, it is presented to you by SeatGeek. Well, Major League offseason is almost time for the regular season, which means you can start planning your trips to the ballpark, okay? Go do that, courtesy of SeatGeek. We've also got the World Baseball Classic right around the corner. You've got the NBA. You got the NHL. You've got the World Cup coming up this summer. This is why we want to give the sponsor of today's video, SeatGeek, a huge shout out. More than 35 million downloads has made SeatGeek the #1 rated ticketing app around. In fact, I am going to the Cavs Clippers. How do we get our tickets? That's right. Little help from SeatGeek. Did a little fishing. Sat there with my oldest son, Josh. We said, okay, these seats look good. Is it the best deal possible? SeatGeek lent a helping hand. And we got a code for you guys as well. Use Baseball 2026, 10% off your next set of tickets at SeatGeek. That is 10% off any tickets with the promo code Baseball 2026. Just click the link in the description, download the app, have the code automatically added to your account so you can use it later as well. We'll see you at a game in the near future. All right. Let's move out west, where the Padres have had a relatively quiet offseason. They did bring back Michael King. That was nice for them. They signed Sung Mung Song. Meanwhile, the two-time defending champs right up the 5 freeway, all they did was add Kyle Tucker to a $240 million deal and brought in the best closer in baseball in Edwin Diaz. So the question is, to the San Diego Padres like Jackson Merrill, will it be that much sweeter if you take care of the Dodgers?
I don't really think anything about that. I don't think that should be the focus. I think the focus should be winning baseball games against every team. I don't think focusing on the Dodgers is going to help us win it all. I think if you focus on a certain team, when you get to play that team, you're going to tense up. You're not going to be the same team. You got to go into that series like we're playing anybody else. That's how it is. Everybody has a good baseball team nowadays. Nobody's bad. Pitching is good everywhere. So, they might have added a couple bats and stuff, but we got to go in. We got to play hard. That's the only way we're going to beat them.
What you think of that?
That's a great answer to that question right there. He's right about it. What are you going to worry about a baseball team? Like, you shouldn't be scared of anyone at the big league level. Like, you should never feel intimidated by another baseball team. It's the bottom line.
Well,
at that level, you should not be intimidated by anybody.
Maybe not intimidated, but frustrated perhaps by the spending. We have heard rumblings this offseason, albeit unnamed players going on the record and saying, like, this shit's ridiculous with the Dodgers. Like, come on, how are we supposed to beat them?
I mean, you just look at the playoffs. Like, you can still beat the Dodgers. They didn't have the best record in baseball last year. The freaking Milwaukee Brewers had the best record in baseball last year. So don't forget that. And look, for a lot of the time, when you're a baseball player, you have no choice of where you play. You get drafted by a team, and you're just property of that team. And if you get drafted to, say, the Rockies right now, like, it is frustrating. It's really frustrating that you feel like you don't have a chance to play in the postseason. But you still have to approach it like, I don't care who we're playing. We're going to go out there and just try to win baseball games. It's the only way you can do it, Chris. You can't let that get into your mind.
I liked it. Wise words from a kid. What is he, 23 years old or whatever? Good for him. And the hoodie under the jersey.
He's a stud, dude. He's a stud.
It's very early season baseball weather.
Isn't he still like 22 years old? How old is he?
Yeah, I said 23, but I mean, he's right around there.
He's 22.8. I have the roster up right
22.8.
Yeah.
So does that mean in 4 months he'll be 23?
That's bad math, I think, by you right there.
Why?
That would make him 22.6.
Well, no.
Yeah, because he's 8 out of 10. That's, we're talking 4/5 of the way done with the year.
Well, but that's what I didn't know if you were going 8 based on 8 out of 12 months or 8 out of 10.
Well, there's no such thing as 22.12, is there? Or 22.11.
You need to go back to bed,
I am cranky right now,
Mr. Grump. All right. Bigger question about the Padres is, have they gone backward this offseason?
Oh man. What's funny is, like, I think I'm the biggest San Diego Padres believer around. I don't know. I still look at their team like, that's a pretty good team. Like, they can compete. Have they gone backwards? I think they're more like just like stuck in neutral. I don't know if they've gone backwards. Again, full year of Mason Miller this year. That helps out a ton. Did they lose, some guys at the back end of the bullpen? Yes. Did they lose Luis Ariz? Yes. But I still can see this team in the playoffs. So I think they're in neutral. Is it going to continue to be that way? I'm not so sure. Like, if you really dive into kind of like what's going on with the franchise, like trying to sell the team, really putting a pause on big free agent signings. Now the farm system is kind of bare because they went out and really tried to go after these titles over the last 5 or 6 years. So possibly in the forthcoming years, we'll say they've gone backwards. But for now, I feel like they're kind of in neutral, and I still like this team.
I still like it, but they have gone backward. They just have. I mean, Dylan Cease.
Yeah, Dylan Cease.
You know
Forgot
me.
about that one.
He drives me as crazy as any good pitcher in baseball. But he will give you some innings, and he will strike out 200 guys. And people will say, well, Michael King is back and healthy. Well, you do this. You cross your fingers when you say he's healthy. And Joe Musgrove, I hope he's back to what Joe was before the injury. I'm rooting for him. Like, their top three, they feel good because Pivetta was absolutely nails, and they didn't trade him. It's kind of a mystery after your top three, and even two of the top three do have injury question marks coming into the year. They lost, Ryan O'Hearn wasn't the all-star that he was in Baltimore the first half of the season a year ago, but he is a dependable major leaguer that moved on. Bobby Suarez, they're going to miss him. They just are. I know that they still have got an excellent bullpen.
Yeah, the bullpen's
right?
really good still.
Estrada, Morajón, and Mason Miller. Awesome. But, you can't say that they're not going to miss Bobby Suarez. He's pitched a lot of big games for them. And so I thought but here's the good news, Padres fans. You remember our old intern, Alden? Remember Big Alden?
Alden Stone.
Very good. Good memory on your part. I asked him a little bit about the Padres because he's a huge Padres fan. Actually went back to the Tatis Gala. That's how big a fan he is as he traveled back from Indianapolis for that. And young Alden reminded me that nobody is better at working spring training transactions than A.J. Preller. Over the last 2 years, just over the last 2 years, this is what he's done. February 24th of 2024, he signed Jurickson Profar. March 13th of 2024, he pulled off the Dylan Cease trade. January 31st of 2025, he signed Elias Diaz. Last February, he signed Jason Hayward, which didn't work out, but you understood the move. And then last February 17th, everybody was critical of him when he signed Nick Pivetta. Remember that?
Not me.
Well, there were a lot of people. There were a lot of people who took shots. I probably even questioned it myself, saying, wait, are you giving up a pick and you're signing him to a 4-year deal? Like, what do we do? And he ended up having an amazing, amazing year. So nobody works this timeline better in baseball than A.J. Preller. Now, I still see them needing a starting pitcher and some more pop in that lineup. Only the Cardinals and Pirates had fewer homers last year. So does that mean Rhys Hoskins takes a deal there? Does that mean that I don't know where else they're going to go? I'll tell you who I would go for. Jose Quintana. He didn't sign till last March with Milwaukee for a 1-year, $4 million deal, and he ended up pitching great. He made 23 starts or whatever, and ERA under 4. Sign him.
I blanked on Cease there a little bit when I was talking about if they were going forward or backwards or neutral. But I will say you're right. There are, like, we're going to talk about the Orioles in a little bit. And I'm probably going to say the same thing about them. Like, there are still guys out there that are probably going to take 1-year deals, 1 year with an option type deals out there. So if you are a little flat in your starting pitching, which you mentioned, like, yeah, they obviously would need some depth here. What am I looking for? Like not fallback plans, but like you need guys, and they do particularly. So I think that is a way they could go. A 1-year deal for them, I think they still can do. They're not going to be dishing out multi-year deals right now. It just doesn't seem that way. And I don't know, man. Like I know they don't hit homers, but I don't understand why. I feel like they got guys that can hit homers in that lineup. Like, do I need to go down there? Talk to these guys. Hey, pull side homers. That's what works nowadays. Let's go
See
for
that
it.
warehouse thing over there?
Yeah, aim for that.
Hit that.
Yeah. So,
yeah,
I know. I'm still bullish on the team to a certain extent. I would like them to add some additional starting pitching. I'm not worried about the bullpen at all. I think the lineup is good enough. Like, if you just look at the homers, sure, but like in the other spots, they were 9th in OBP. I guess they're middle of the pack in OPS.
Look, A.J. Preller came out recently and said the prospective sale of this team has nothing to do with the lack of spending. A.J., that's cute. I understand, like, he's trying to get an extension. He's spent well over a decade there. he's being protective of ownership. But I don't know how you look at it any other way. I mean, have they made some huge investments that have limited probably their spending? Yes. And some of those investments have not paid off. It has not been dollar for dollar in terms of performance. It's been lots of dollars for lack of performance in some cases. So they have to kind of sleep in that bed that they've made themselves. But I'm curious. He's a fascinating general manager. He's great at this time of year. He's exceptional at the trade deadline because he makes it fun. So I'm rooting for him to do something cool before opening day. I hope he does. You mentioned the Baltimore Orioles. They have actually been the opposite of the San Diego Padres. They've been extremely busy this offseason. The biggest move was obviously bringing in the polar bear, Pete Alonso, to a $155 million deal. Jackson Holliday was on a very popular podcast in Baltimore, the Exit 52 podcast. He shared this fun little story.
I got an awesome text from him whenever he signed. I texted him and reached out and just told him how excited I was that he was part of our team. And he sent me a really awesome message of like, get ready for the storm and the war. It's going to be glorious at the end. And I was like, this is awesome that we're bringing a guy like this to our clubhouse and the energy that he has. And I'm excited to meet him in person.
Okay, well, shitty reception in there as he's driving to I'm guessing to his off-season hitting or something like that. Be prepared for the storm and the war. Could you imagine getting an inspirational text from Pete Alonso like that?
I feel like that sums up Pete Alonso perfectly, right? Like, just like loves ball, can't wait to be with the fellas and just go after it. So yeah, I'm into it. I feel like you knew that was kind of how he talked anyway, but it's nice to hear Jackson Holliday say that. And for a guy like Jackson, like a young guy still trying to kind of figure it out at the big league level, I think Pete's going to be great for him. I truly do. And I'm happy Jackson's wearing a seatbelt there. Always wear your seatbelt, guys.
Who doesn't wear their freaking seatbelt?
I don't. Some people still don't, Chris. It's
Come on.
crazy to me.
This isn't the 1970s. When I was growing up, I cannot believe what they used to do. People would just throw their kids in the back of station wagons and go. Most people don't even know what a station wagon is.
You know, why do people feel like they can do that? Say you're in like a bus.
Oh, yeah.
Why are there no seatbelts in buses? Nobody wears a seatbelt.
I've always wondered that. I'm
a big seatbelt guy.
Yeah. Well, I'm for anything that saves lives, Trevor.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
So, folks, today we've learned about Amazon sticks.
Yeah.
And that seatbelts save lives.
Saved my life.
Did it?
Yeah. It's for another time.
Oh, boy. Can we ask the question about Baltimore, which is, do they need one more move to kind of get back in contention, or are you okay going to spring training like this?
I think they're a very well-rounded team right now, Chris. I even think they could like bang their way to being in contention. Like, I really like this lineup. Yeah. I really like this lineup. I think there's just a really good mixture of left and right. I think there's established hitters. I think there's young guys that are poised to take a step up. You got the guys at the bottom like Beavers and Basayo. Like, I'm curious to see what they do. I know Orioles fans are really high on those guys. So like, they have the veterans, the young guys, everything like makes sense to me in the lineup. I like the back end of the bullpen. I think they've done a good job there. I like the bench a lot. Like, could they use, like, when I'm looking at it, can they use like a utility infielder? Probably. But I'm okay with like what they have there as well. To me, they're very similar to the Padres, where I'm like, all right, there are some guys I like in that starting rotation, guys that have done it. But I could see them, like, if they went out, like Framber would fit great on this team. He'd be in, like, that to me would make them automatic, like, real deal contenders. But even guys like a Giolito or a Zach Gallen, like, I think it'd be really good for them to go do that. So another starting pitcher to me is exactly what they need. There's guys available. All around the rest of the roster, though, I'm thumbs up on it, Chris.
Yeah. I really had to sit down and look at the entire roster, and I kind of went back and forth on this because, yes, if they added Framber, then I think we put them in an entirely different category. But I think if they go into spring training with the team that they've got right now, I think they're okay, right? Rogers and Bradish at the top of the rotation doesn't feel terrible, right? Trading for Shane Baz feels like, I mean, it was a major move because of the amount of players that they gave up. But you feel like you could strike gold with him at some point.
Sure.
I understand bringing back Eflin. They brought him back 1 year, $10 million. He was not good last year and banged up. And I think I would have gone for a different veteran, but maybe they just like him as a guy, which makes sense. I mean, I understand it. You've heard nothing but great things about Zach Eflin, but maybe they could have gone somewhere else. Dean Kramer hopefully eats some innings for them. They also have Povich. You know, you need 7 or 8 guys that you can rely on because you're going to be using all of them at some point this year. The offense, really interesting. 8 guys with double-digit homers a year ago, including a bunch of guys that got traded, but none had more than 17. They had 3 guys that tied for the team lead. I think it was Gunnar, Jackson Holiday, and Westberg.
Well, that'll change this year.
That's going to change, right? Pete Alonso might have that through the middle of May.
Taylor Ward
is certainly going to help out. So
Gunner's healthy, so I think he goes right back up to a 30 homer season.
By the way, he was still a 5.5 WAR player.
I know he's the real deal. Like, he's the real deal. We can't forget that because it was a shoulder injury that really, slowed him last year. Like, there's no doubt in my mind that he's going to be that guy again.
Yeah, and I think that they're going to be in good shape. I think that I don't think they need to do anything. If they, that's for me. That's my alarm. Do you want to know what that's for?
Ooh, are you taking a pill or something?
No. Oh God. You've gotten a lot on the old thing lately. Really, it's.
Why is that so bad?
You think I've reached the point where I have to set alarms to take my medication?
Dude, I'm hurting here, Chris.
All right, we're almost done.
What's it for?
To go listen to the new Cleveland Browns press conference.
I should have known. I should have freaking known.
All right. This episode sponsored by BetterHelp. Valentine's Day right around the corner. So whether you're married, you're dating, you're single, the truth is most of us are still figuring it out, finding our way. And no matter where you are in your romantic journey, therapy can actually help you find your way, help you determine what exactly you want, what feels heavy in your life, how you can take some pressure off of yourself. Well, BetterHelp does the initial matchmaking work for you so you can focus on your therapy goals. BetterHelp therapists work according to a strict code of conduct. They're fully licensed in the U.S. More than 30,000 therapists. BetterHelp is actually the world's largest online therapy platform, having served over 6 million people globally. This month, do not wait to reach out. BetterHelp makes it easy to get matched online with a qualified therapist. Sign up. You're going to get 10% off at betterhelp.com/Yanks. That is BetterHelp, HELP.com/Yanks. We look forward to helping you on your journey. All right, before we get out of here on the day, White Sox have had a solid offseason. Highlighted by the signing of their Japanese slugger, right? Munetaka Murakami. Well, he got to the stadium and he said, "Where are our Japanese toilets?" Chris Getz, their GM's like, "Huh? What do you got?" Apparently, it's a big deal over there. Roki Sasaki made the same point to the Los Angeles Dodgers. He's like, "We need some Japanese toilets." So may I welcome the newest member of the Chicago White Sox, bidet, which apparently it's a big thing over in Japan. You just went there. Is this accurate?
It is, Chris, and I'm shocked that more people in the States don't even we think this is some weird thing when in fact this is everybody should have a bidet. It's ridiculous that we don't have them. It's so easy to get them now. We should probably get a sponsorship. I think we used to have one.
We did,
actually.
but it was a different guy.
But listen, we did the same thing. It was Nishioka came over in 2011 or 12 or something like that, and Joe Mauer bought him toilets, put them in there, man. It's not just the bidet, it's the heated seat, all right? It's the self-cleaning option. These things, I did a rant on Talking Baseball. We're living in the Stone Ages here with our toilets. It's disgusting the way we approach it. Like, this is the way, people. So if you don't have a bidet and you're like freaked out about it, don't be freaked out. Go like search for like you don't even have to get a whole new toilet. Just a toilet seat that has all these features. They're widely available. Please go get one. It'll change your life, Chris.
Well, I think the thing people are so hesitant to discuss is because then you start getting into different styles of poop. And people don't want to talk about that.
Different styles of poop?
Yeah, what happens? Like, you're telling me every poop you've had is the same consistency?
You still got to wipe, and
You
this
do.
is just like you do this, and then you wipe, and then it's like you're actually clean and nice. I'll give you another thing that everyone needs to upgrade with: a squatty potty. You do a bidet and a squatty potty, I guarantee your life will be changed forever. You know what that is?
Squatty potty?
Yeah.
What do we got?
It's like a little stool that slides under your toilet where you put your feet. You elevate your feet so it gets you like in the right position.
The right position to poop?
Yeah.
What are you using? The
You
toilet
need to at your age. You need to step it up.
Squatty potty.
Yeah, and those are like $20, maybe.
Well, I don't care about spending the money. I just don't know.
Oh, you got to get them. This is like, hey, all right. I gave everyone the playbook this episode.
Like your knees are going to be up?
Yeah, just a little bit. I'm telling you.
You want to be elevated?
The first time I bought all squatty potties for the entire Twins locker room when I was there. And the first time people use it, they cannot believe it, Chris. You know how this is gonna be nasty, kind of. You know how you see these like commercials where they do like the nasal strips, and people are like, "Oh my gosh, I feel like I can breathe for the first time." Like, it's like the same thing. It's like you feel like you can actually poop the right way for the first time.
Do you take it, like, if you use different toilets in the house, do you take it with you?
No, I have it in every toilet.
At every toilet?
I think.
I might just come over just to use the toilet. Are any of them heated?
I believe I have 3 good toilets. Like my kids don't have one in their bathrooms.
Yeah, they have to earn that. It's like flying first class when you're a kid.
They're disgusting anyway. The kids' toilet's disgusting.
Well, whatever. You just pray they make it in there at the beginning.
I'm working on Teddy.
Oh, God, he's peeing all over the walls and stuff.
Just middle of the night. Just
come on, man.
Lord knows.
Up the seat. Have some respect for the ladies out. All right. That's too much poopy talk.
It's the truth, though.
We're only going to be back later this week if there's something major happening. So, AJ Preller, if you want to hold off till after the Super Bowl, I wouldn't be mad at you. But that's okay. If we were coming back, we're coming back because we are this close to spring training and then the World Baseball Classic and then the regular season. And before you know it, we'll be talking playoffs. So for our one-of-a-kind producer, Dan Rourke, the uber-talented Trevor Plouffe, who has you covered when it comes to Amazon sticks, heated toilet seats, or what? Anything else you need. I am Chris Rose. We will see you next time here on Baseball Today. Happy bidating.